Hello and welcome to the First Post Pole Position, the show where we discuss all things Formula One. So at the recently concluded Bahrain Grand Prix, we had lots of action, lots of drama and lots of overtaking. So that means we have a lot to talk about. Let me quickly introduce our guests, Kunal Shah and Mithila Mehta, the Formula One couple, the people who breathe and live the sport. They obviously have, they have their own blog and their own podcast. And thank you so much once again for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
So, Sebastian Vettel emerges the winner after like a thrilling race, I think. It was a great fun race. And let's just talk about it. What does Vettel's win mean? And what do you take away from this?
Vettel's win actually validates all the talent that we've not seen from him in the last few seasons. Because let's remember, it was Mercedes' race to win, Valtteri Bottas on pole, and Sebastian Vettel and the Ferrari pit wall need to be credited for snatching this win from the Mercedes garages.
I think it also validates what we've been seeing that this year. It's not going to be a Mercedes era of dominance. It's going to be, a new, refreshed Ferrari team fighting back with a lot of energy and passion. And we saw that at the Bahrain Grand Prix. And with every win that this Ferrari team is making, they're only going to emerge stronger to take on Mercedes yet again. And it validates what we've been saying that, this is going to be a blockbuster of a year.
We've had 3 blockbuster races, I think.
Yeah.
They're on a roll now.
Absolutely. I think there was a very good advertisement for Formula One because we have 2 teams fighting, 2 of the best drivers fighting. Yes, Fernando Alonso is entertaining us in different ways, but a very good advertisement for the sport. So if you have friends, if you have family who are sitting on the fence, this is the time to get them to tune into Formula One.
And I know you mentioned Fernando Alonso, but we will come back to him
Yes.
later. Meanwhile, if you guys have any comments or any questions, you can definitely put them out in the comments and we will come back to that as well.
Absolutely.
Coming to Mercedes, and obviously as you mentioned, Bottas had pole. He exceeded everyone's expectations in qualifying, did really well. And for him to then finish third, do you think he's disappointed, or do you think, is this something that he just has to accept that, he's not the number 1 driver in the team?
Yeah, talking of Mercedes is very interestingly strange, and I'll repeat myself, interestingly strange that they're already using team orders because they're suddenly under pressure. It was evident that they're probably not being able to respond as quickly to external competition because all of 14, 15, 16 they had only 1 driver to bother about, and there's suddenly a Vettel and a Ferrari who out-thought them yesterday, and it's going to be interesting to see how Mercedes bounce back from this. Okay, and it's not bad because they got a double podium.
Yeah.
But to start first and second and to finish second and third will not necessarily please the current constructors champions.
It's also strange to see, Valtteri Bottas, he had a great run in qualifying. So he was the hero of the day, and I think against a lot of our expectations, he managed to snatch that pole from Lewis Hamilton. And we were watching that session, and Kunal and I were like, hey, this is a great show of talent for
Pole Position, the show.
Bottas. But then at the same time, the race started and he was out there in the front. He still managed to lead, going through the first few opening laps. But then, all that talent that we saw on Saturday was just not coming through. And of course, Mercedes employed team orders on him, which is actually sad. If I were Valtteri Bottas, I'd be really sad and disappointed because ultimately he's a racing car driver.
Yeah.
And he wants to win. He doesn't want to play second fiddle to anyone. But, as it seems to be coming together for him, he'll have to do something really spectacular in his 4th and final race. It's like his day of judgment for Mercedes.
Contracts will be up for discussion, sometime around June, July onwards. So it's a crucial moment for him. But let's not just judge him on one weekend. And what's crucial for Valtteri is he needs to string in a weekend together. And that's a very motorsporting term. So it's about literally making sure that at the right time, you're at the right place with the right lap time. So he got pole, but he didn't do well in the race. And Mercedes has, of course, said that there was a generator issue on the grid.
Yeah.
So he was driving with higher tire pressures than expected. But irrespective, excuses aside, he will still need to go out there and perform because Lewis Hamilton is doing exceedingly well.
And
It's interesting that you used the word excuses, Kunal. We were just talking, you don't know if that was actually an issue or if Mercedes is just, playing cover up for Bottas just to give him some more time to settle
Because
in.
teams usually can do that. So to make sure that the driver, remains confident and excited, etc., for the next race, they sometimes do play a cover up, for the drivers. But I'm going to actually mention one specific point, which is about the Mercedes engine. And we've all been reading and knowing of how powerful the engine is and how it's the class of the field. And that they have this one particular mode which they engage in qualifying and which was very evident. So at the restart, we had both the Mercedes drivers chasing the cars ahead. So Valtteri Bottas actually started attacking and almost overtook Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah.
And Lewis Hamilton did in fact overtake Daniel Ricciardo. So very short and a small, but a very interesting evidence of how powerful the Mercedes engine can be when they turn it up.
yeah, and obviously we have to talk about Hamilton.
We
I
have to.
think it was an unfortunate sort of weekend for him. He got the 5-second penalty. He was undercut right at the start by Vettel, and he finished second again. So I don't think he likes that at all. Finishing second best.
In a lot of ways, it was a throwback to 2016 because he was at the start and he's there and he can see this red Ferrari just streaming past him of Sebastian Vettel. And I'm sure in his head he was thinking like, damn, this reminds me of 2016 where he was notorious for his poor starts, off the grid. And then, we had that whole incident where he was penalized 5 seconds for slowing down or holding back Ricciardo. And I'm sure a certain Nico Rosberg was laughing or smirking, saying that, maybe this is just good old motorsport karma at play.
But Kunal, what do you make of the penalty? Do you think it was justified? Do you think there was a reason to give him that? And do you think it affected the outcome in the long run then, eventually?
So, of course, it was justified. The FIA stewards called him out for that. Okay. But I must commend Hamilton for thinking on his bums because that's what he sits on in his lap. Because he realized that he had to try and do something different and he wanted to hold back Ricciardo so that he doesn't lose position in the pit lane while the team is servicing Valtteri. So very interesting of him to think of that.
Yeah.
But of course, it was a breach of rules. And did the penalty really bother him? That's good speculation because when you do the final math, he finished some 6 seconds behind Vettel, and the penalty was 5 seconds. So could he have challenged for the win, etc.? It's good to speculate, but I still believe Vettel had it under control somewhere. And again, just goes to show that 2017 is all about maintaining track position.
Yeah, because we still haven't seen an overtake for the leadership, right? So we still haven't.
Still waiting for
We're
that.
still waiting for that, but
Yes.
but a fair, generous amount of overtaking we did see, and that's great. That's what we've been talking about. That's what we've been looking forward
Yes.
to.
And despite Max Verstappen, not being part of the entire race, so that's commendable.
Yeah. So obviously, the Red Bulls, he had his brake failure, Verstappen, which is unfortunate. But Ricciardo did pretty well to sort of maybe make sure that he gets the points, finishes 5th behind Raikkonen. Do you think they're still concerned that when you compare the speeds, they're too far off?
They are. They're clearly not the top two teams, and they're working hard. And we saw that Ricciardo actually had better qualifying, in my view, than the race. And we've had both Red Bull drivers turn around and say that, listen, we actually could have finished second in the race. So I haven't really gone through the data yet to understand if that is a genuine statement or a PR statement. But that's interesting because Red Bull did seem closer. They seemed in the mix, but they weren't really right there. But they're making progress, which is what is crucial for Formula One.
Yeah.
It's also interesting for us to see, how quickly we've gotten so used to having Max Verstappen on the grid. The moment he bowed out of the race with his brake issues, there were messages all over Twitter, people saying that, hey, will this race even be worth watching anymore? And this is when you have Hamilton and Vettel, battling for the race lead. So, Max Verstappen, even though he was not part of the race, people were thinking of him. He was on our minds.
But, I mean, unfortunate for him, but what do you make of Kimi Raikkonen's race? Because I think it wasn't the best race for him. I think he can definitely do better than this. At least the Raikkonen that I know of, that I
am
watching.
sure Ferrari think that they are running a one-car team in 2017. So Kimi is slow. There is no denying that. He's not as quick as we would all like him to be, much like he also would like to be quicker. But Ferrari can probably be a little more aggressive in their strategy, much like they were with Sebastian Vettel as
Yeah.
well. So I hope they both come together and realize that they can do far better.
But if what we're seeing seems to predict anything, I think it's going to be very likely that come silly season, that seat that Kimi Raikkonen occupies at Ferrari is going to be, the most coveted one. Maybe even more than Valtteri Bottas,
Bottas,
if the Ferraris continue to perform at the
But
pace they are.
just coming back, do you think, his spot in the team, Bottas' spot in the team is under danger? Do you think he's done enough to maybe say, okay, I'm driving a Mercedes car, I'm driving it well enough, I'm getting podium finishes, give me this contract?
I don't know. It's too early to make a call. I'm not mighty impressed.
Yeah.
And let's remember, he's coming to replace Nico Rosberg,
Yeah.
the reigning world champion. He's also coming to replace a driver which not a lot of people in Formula One thought was world champion material. Okay, and I still don't think he's at the level of a Nico, where he's been pushing Lewis Hamilton that much more. Yes, he got pole position. We'll keep repeating that his first pole of his career.
Yeah.
But in the race, he needs to do far more to probably convincingly convince the Mercedes management. Yeah.
At the same time, I also think that the team will look at other factors. For example, though he's not winning races, he's yet consistently coming home,
Yeah.
On the podium. And after looking at what Kimi Raikkonen is doing at Ferrari, maybe having a Bottas who finishes on
Not bad,
P2,
yeah.
P3, not a bad idea. And the fact that he seems to be maybe the only teammate in the history of Formula One that Lewis Hamilton seems to be getting along with. So, one less thing for
Yeah.
Toro Wolff and Niki Lauda to break their heads over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, not bad.
Yeah, and he's ensured that the Constructors' Championship is really close. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So obviously
absolutely.
because Vettel and Hamilton have been, sort of going winner,
True.
second place. But he's ensured that by finishing third, they're in touch. It's just a 3-point difference between Ferrari and Mercedes. Of course, between Vettel and Hamilton, it's becoming a little more now. But
Yeah.
because he's obviously had two wins, but
Sure.
that sets up the fourth race really well. I think
Yes.
Russia will be very
Very
interesting.
exciting.
Yeah. We also have to discuss about Force India and their consecutive double points finish. So great finish by Perez.
So happy.
He was P18
Yes.
and finished P7.
So we were actually worried, after their display in qualifying. But we've seen Force India, they don't necessarily have a great run on Saturday, but
Yeah.
then they're able to bring both cars home on Sunday in the points.
Yeah, and this was Perez's 13th consecutive points finish, which is very good, and he's known to be Mr. Consistent. And Esteban Ocon has actually fixed P10 for him. This is the third time in three races that he's finished 10th. So if you were to just do a quick grid math, so 1 and 2 is reserved for Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, not in that order.
Yeah.
P6 is usually reserved for Felipe Massa. P10 is reserved for Esteban Ocon. Barely have 6 positions to play around with. So that'll help you guys for your Grand Prix predictions next time.
You have it from the experts out there. So speaking of the rest of the positions, what do you make of drivers that did manage to finish, because we have the ones that didn't. We'll come to them. But
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with the whole Lance Stroll, Carlos Sainz Jr. Issue episode that happened.
Yeah.
Everyone was very quick to jump onto Lance Stroll because it's fun to make fun of him.
he's
but
beginning to build a reputation of
Yeah,
It's
it's
been the wrong
unfortunate,
place at the
yeah.
wrong time.
But I must tell you that was actually Carlos Sainz Jr.'s mistake, and of course, he's received a penalty. And he was being a little too ambitious. He thought maybe there's a rookie and he'll probably squeeze his way through, but clearly not.
Yeah. Well, something to his credit then. And of course, Haas, I think you guys are like Grosjean.
That was actually a good
His
good
first points
result.
finish,
Yes.
which is good for Romain Grosjean.
Yeah.
And they've had points like the past 2 races, so it's good, to see the Haas car coming home in the points.
Yeah.
And my favorite driver, Nico Hülkenberg.
Yes.
He finished what, P7 or P8? I can't remember, but he got his first points as well. That's good for him.
Yeah. And so obviously, let's come to the team that did not start. McLaren. we know them as a team that does not finish, but are they going?
They've
towards-
gone one up on themselves, and this time they decided, like, hey, all the did not finishes are so boring, we will not start.
I mean, they give us so much matter, so much fodder.
Thank you, McLaren.
Yeah. But no, seriously, like, what does this mean? Everything from them not starting, Alonso, whatever he said, everything, all of it, the whole McLaren saga. Let me
I
just
don't
put it
think
like it.
McLaren, Honda themselves know what's happening, to be very honest. They just reach every weekend hoping that the engine doesn't break down. And they also probably come to get entertained by Fernando Alonso's radio messages. I'm pretty convinced about that.
So the radio messages, I mean, we've stopped getting shocked or scandalized by them because, he's been doing it pretty consistently. But this race, he went and said something like he's never raced with less power in his life. And that is like, ouch. So I don't know if it yet hurts McLaren because they're probably immune to it by now. But that is not good PR for the team.
He also went and told his engineer, plan B something. He said, do whatever you want, man. So, interesting.
Do you think maybe he's just doing this on purpose, like, making a statement, trying to get out? I don't know.
That seems evident because Alonso's personal PR, he's using words like fantastic, career best, amazing, etc. And something very interesting that's doing the rounds of the paddock, that Fernando Alonso has told a few of his colleagues in Spanish media that he's going to give his 100% in the race, and if closer to the race finish, if he's not in the points, he's going to end up retiring the car, and that's what he did yesterday as well in the race. So I don't know what he's trying to prove there. Maybe he's just excited about the Indy 500 and no longer about Formula 1.
Or just making a statement.
Yeah.
But that's been the talking point, I think, for the whole week. People weren't so focused on the race as much as they were on.
Finally, some positive news for McLaren, Honda, Alonso, and Indy 500.
So obviously, just for fans, Alonso's chosen to participate in the Indy 500 and skip the Monaco Grand Prix. So why? First question, why? Why is he doing this?
Multiple levels. So first, Alonso knows that if he wants to be the greatest Formula 1 driver ever, he needs to have 8 World Drivers' Championship titles, one more than Michael Schumacher's.
Yeah.
If that can't happen, what is the next best thing he can actually get? So that's when you realize that the Triple Crown, which means winning the Monaco Grand Prix, the Indianapolis 500, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans, is probably within his reach far more, because in Formula 1, a faster cockpit is probably not coming his way anytime soon. So it's all about his legacy. It's all about how brand Fernando is seen for the years to come, and why not?
Yeah.
I mean, racing is his business, and Alonso is the brand that he's going to be cashing on for a long, long time.
Mithila, do you think this helps his sort of reputation or sort of the brand that, Kunal's talking about? Do you think maybe if he goes to the US, get more fans?
I think it does. And so increasingly, we've been seeing over the past seasons, Fernando Alonso has become like, the butt of all our jokes, unfortunately. And, the equity that he's definitely built up as a double world champion, I mean, a lot of it is just being overlaid by all the jokes we are guilty of making, and obviously the community at large. And I'm sure he realized that he needs to do something, otherwise he's just going to be written off as a has-been. And like the Honda engine, his career is soon also going to just go up in flames. And this is a very clever move to literally salvage his situation personally, while, it may or may not be the best thing for the team, because he's missing the Monaco Grand Prix, which is, the most iconic Grand Prix of the calendar. But if he does go and do something great at the Indy race, what's going to happen is no one's going to be talking about McLaren's troubles, and suddenly he's going to be the toast of the community.
I rate Alonso as Formula One's unluckiest double world champion. Okay. And let's remember the package that he's going to be driving for, which is incidentally also a Honda powered car. But that Honda engine is really good. It won last year, and in fact it's won I think 2 out of the last 3 Indy 500 races. So he is going into a car which is capable of winning, which is what he wants to do. He probably, and of course, wants to get the winning feeling back, because he's a racing car driver. And as for Formula 1, I think it's a big loss to see one of their biggest drivers race in a so-called rival series, because what Bernie Ecclestone has done up until now is he's maintained the exclusivity of Formula 1. So he said that if you want to watch Lewis Hamilton race, if you want to watch Sebastian Vettel race, you have to watch a Formula 1 race, which is now being diluted a little, but I don't think that's too bad, because it is also cross-promotion for the sport of Formula 1 in a market which they have yet not cracked fully.
And who knows that better than Liberty Media, given their American connection.
I'm very sure this would not happen last year. This would not have happened under Bernie
Had McLaren
Ecclestone.
still been run by Ron Dennis and
Yeah.
had Bernie Ecclestone still run Formula One. In fact, Bernie's been public about it. He was there in Bahrain. And he said, I wouldn't have let Alonso go to the Indy 500.
Yeah.
So change is the only constant. I'm glad Formula One and McLaren Honda have allowed him to make this move.
Yeah, well,
And of course, they want to keep him happy because, you know, if they're not going to give him a good car, the least they can do is let him go and have some fun at the Indy 500.
And hopefully win
Yes.
something.
Well, we wish him luck, obviously.
Yes,
Yeah, we hope he
for
has a
sure.
great Indy
Yeah,
500
I'm
race.
looking forward to all his radio messages in the Indy 500.
Great. So before we wrap up, looking forward to Russia, is the Vettel-Hamilton rivalry a little like Federer-Nadal? Is what I'm seeing on social media. Because I don't know where this comes from, but is that what we're seeing here?
I'm just very happy we finally have a Vettel versus a Lewis Hamilton, and let this era just be remembered for that.
I'm looking forward to Russia. So I keep saying this every race that, I'm looking forward to the next race, but then, it's just building up so nicely. And fingers crossed, I'm also looking forward to Russia. Hopefully Danny Kivat will have a good race as the home boy and all of that.
Yeah.
But mostly all attention on Mercedes versus Ferrari, and maybe a Red Bull could sneak in. Who knows?
Okay, that's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for watching. Do visit First Post for more coverage from the Formula One, and we'll see you next time.